All right. Well, welcome to the Last Thing podcast. We're doing an episode on food, the first of many. But what comments do you have on this episode, Josh?
Well, welcome everyone. There are a few things in life I claim to be an authority on. Very few. Even in woodworking, where it's probably what I'm best at, I don't claim to be an authority on anything other than safety, and that's just because I still have all 10 of my fingers. One of the only other areas in life where I really am an expert is sandwiches. I have been to 39 countries, all 48 contiguous states, and hundreds of cities. Every major city in the country almost I've been to. And the majority of what I get is sandwiches. Everywhere on planet Earth. If there's a sandwich option, that's what I'm going. And so I've had them all. I've had obviously hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homemade sandwiches, varieties and whatnot.
Yeah.
I've made a bunch of these sandwiches at home. I fancy myself a connoisseur of some of these sandwiches individually. I worked at a sandwich shop, mom and pop, and this is primarily what I have for probably 4 meals a week for the last 10 years since getting out of the military. My wife calls me Experiment 626 from Lilo and Stitch. Every time I make a sandwich, she falls back in love with me. So whatever I've done wrong in recent memory is wiped away with every breaded delicacy I create. This tier list is not up for debate. Everything we say is 100% true. This is the authoritative final tier list for sandwiches. We should set parameters.
Sure. But first, how do you rate just sandwiches and your sort of tier list of foods?
Top 5, maybe top 3.
Kinds of foods. It's pretty amazing.
Especially for lunch.
They're both
Lunch and late night.
properly rated and sometimes underrated. Just the sandwich. There's a lot of amazing sandwiches out there, but I think it often gets swept underneath most of the best foods that you can think of.
Yeah. I think,
just in general.
For like a nice dinner, I rarely have a sandwich for dinner. But as if we're talking lunch, if we're talking breakfast, they're up there with, late night even. Like there's some things that are probably better late night options. There are a couple things in the breakfast category that I might put above sandwiches. But for lunch, this is the authoritative best choice, or one of probably top 3. There's probably 3 things that go like up in this category that all kind of belong together.
Like from the very beginning, when we started growing wheat and making bread, some one person decided to put some meat in between that bread and thought like, holy shit, this is amazing. We gotta share this.
They're like, I really have outdone myself this time.
Yeah.
I created it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Sandwiches are great.
There's probably like stews and stuff before that, but yeah, after bread came along, we were stuffing it.
It's pretty awesome. Parameters, yes.
What are the judgment parameters for these sandwiches?
So first off, I'd like to explain that we'll talk about these sandwiches and discuss them and judge them each at their best. If you were to have the best of each of these sandwiches, this is how we're rating them.
Oh, okay. So that's going to change some of my rankings.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
What were you going to include? Just more of your own personal experience with having these sandwiches, or?
Well, I think I was going to maybe consider, we don't have to do this. I like your way of doing it very much. It simplifies it much. But the likelihood that you would be getting the best version of this sandwich, because
that's true. Yeah.
Some of these sandwiches, you're almost certainly going to get an amazing one anywhere on planet Earth if you order it.
Yeah.
Whereas some of these sandwiches, if you get it at the wrong place or in the wrong preparation, it's almost not worth getting. So that was something I was going to take into consideration. But I think if we go the best version of them, honestly, a lot of these it's rare to get the best version of them.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Yeah, you could have a sandwich that's being made all across the country and it can be somewhat average. Then somebody somewhere else could make that same sandwich but kind of add to it or kind of make their own version of it that's way better. I don't think that should count. I think it has to be limited to its most important ingredients. We're not talking about any sandwiches that are elevated to some crazy level. These are like standard sandwich you'd get in most places, I would think, because some of those are genuinely the best sandwiches you'll ever have. So yeah, I guess there is some limit when thinking about the best version of the sandwich?
Let's go with the perfect representation.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So like we'll go off of like the perfect example of, because like the best BLT you'll get is probably like a 10 out of 10 or a 5-star choice. But your average BLT, still great, don't get me wrong, isn't going to be, you're almost not ordering that, you know, by design.
The most ideal sandwich for each of these options.
Okay.
That stay true to the sandwich.
This is not up for debate, and any negative commentary on any of these choices will be met with cease and desist letters, and we will report your account for harassment.
Yeah. Yes. This is very serious.
Yes.
This is the most serious we'll ever get.
I called Barack Obama a spineless bastard. This is more serious than that.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, so should we just jump right in and go one by one, or should we kind of tell them each of the sandwiches?
Let's go one by one. We'll do brief descriptions of each sandwich.
Sure.
And then we can maybe go into we can maybe talk about like the echelon of that individual sandwich as well, and then give it a tier rating after that. Should we go over the tier listing,
Yes.
What each tier means? Because there's gonna be some guy that makes Reubens for a living, and he's like, I'll burn your house down.
Yeah, so S tier, the superior sandwich, the best, pretty much flawless across the board. No problems at all. A, amazing, really, really good sandwiches. Maybe there's a thing or two that is not a big deal. Maybe personal preference.
Maybe it's only good in certain settings, you know.
Sure. Kind of. B, that's a good sandwich that's got maybe a problem with it. Maybe it doesn't quite reach that amazing tier. Yeah, it has some drawbacks, but overall, good sandwich. C is like competent, could have plenty of problems with it. D is kind of, just the bottom of the barrel. Not good enough to be in C.
A D is a sandwich you eat by yourself alone and you don't want anyone to catch you eating it. And there's really no F's on this list. A D, even a D.
Not really. Yeah, it might be hard to get that low.
It's a perfectly edible sandwich. If a sandwich on this list is a D, it's not because it's not a good sandwich or there aren't good versions of it. It's probably because it has like major drawbacks or something like that, or the C's just have distinguished themselves away from the D's. And F is just, we don't like your culture. We think you should not make your sandwich anymore. Take it off the menu. So there's none of those on this list.
Maybe we can revisit this after it's tiered, and we can add a couple, and maybe there might be some F's in there. Yeah. But for this list so far to start, there's pretty much no F's. Okay. I'll just go left to right on the bottom here, but it's all kind of random. All right. I believe we got the Reuben sandwich. That'll be the first one.
Generally speaking, the Reuben is on rye. If you order a Reuben and it doesn't come on rye, we're kind of not talking about that.
Yeah.
Always with corned beef.
I'm not much of a fan of corned beef.
That's why I think that's where the Reuben comes in. Because like in a corned beef hash, you're really corned beef heavy. Whereas on a Reuben, you've got sauerkraut, which really, really alters like the tanginess and sort of the pickled characteristics of the sauerkraut bring what in my opinion might be negatives of corned beef, kind of brings it into the realm of possibility for someone that wouldn't otherwise be interested in corned beef. Mm-hmm. When you add the sauerkraut, I think you have like an entryway into those people. Now, Reuben is more of a niche sandwich. Like you said, corned beef, sauerkraut, rye bread. Mm-hmm. These are all
Swiss
distinct choices. Yeah, Swiss is a little bit less like of a niche choice, but you don't get a lot of rye bread options in sandwiches. You get almost no corned beef, and sauerkraut I think this is the only sandwich with pickles built in.
Okay.
I think horseradish might be the closest thing to like this serious of a topping. Like sauerkraut's going to separate the men from the boys pretty much instantaneously.
Now, we'll do this with maybe every sandwich. This one I don't have as much experience with, but in your personal opinion, where do people go wrong making a Reuben? What's sort of the biggest mistake?
The sauerkraut. Sauerkraut's kind of like kimchi in that like you can have a really good tasty sauerkraut that's like pungent and flavorful. Or you can have a bland sauerkraut or a sauerkraut that's too pungent and kind of a little bit too much for a sandwich. Now, that's rare. I think most of the time sauerkraut kind of falls in the middle. Like most sauerkraut preparations are pretty similar, but it can go either way. Corned beef. You know what? You know what the biggest thing people do wrong with the Reuben is they go so much beef and
Yeah.
it's so heavy and so much salt that like, I think the amount of sauerkraut, if you pick a nice sauerkraut that's good for the sandwich setting, you could do quite a bit of sauerkraut on a sandwich and I'm happy. Like the sauerkraut to meat ratio would probably be the big thing. And then here's the other thing, Russian dressing. Some people will just put Thousand Island. You know Thousand Island? Yeah, that doesn't really work. I mean, yes, in some settings maybe for some people, but you need like a proper Russian dressing. And I don't even know how to make a Russian dressing, but I just know that when I get Thousand Island on one or versus when I get a real like in-house made dressing, you can tell a big difference.
Okay.
Rye bread, honestly, you could get really good rye or really bad rye. I've had both. Some people will toast a Reuben. I think toasting the outside of a Reuben is pretty good. And I've had Reubens with no cheese as well. Not my personal favorite. I like cheese on it. This is tough. We're gonna have to kill our darlings here. So a Reuben, I'm gonna put Reuben in C tier.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Most people probably don't want a Reuben sandwich. For me, I probably eat 2 Reubens a year. Maybe. I like sauerkraut quite a bit, so I do end up getting Reubens for sure. But if I get a Reuben, it's mostly to get the sauerkraut. I like corned beef a little bit. It's not really my favorite. Usually it's like the type of place where I can tell this place is going to make me a really good Reuben.
Right. All right, moving on. Next one is Philly cheesesteak. Iconic.
Very. Philly cheesesteak. Okay. We're going to go thin sliced steak. For these purposes, onions, peppers, melted cheese on a hoagie roll. I've had them in both of the most famous spots in Philly. I had them at one of my Philadelphia friends' favorite spots, more local spot. I've had them, this is one I order quite frequently. I've had them in food trucks all over the country. I've had them in different restaurants. Sometimes a nice restaurant will actually make a pretty good Philly cheesesteak. Like one of those medium nice restaurants, maybe like a not quite reservation level restaurant. Sometimes they'll make a nice solid Philly cheesesteak.
Okay.
With the tool set of your average kitchen, you can make a really solid cheesesteak. Now, when it comes to ranking the Philly cheesesteak, you got to take into consideration that like the best Philly cheesesteak is probably S tier, but your average Philly cheesesteak, because so many places do them and because so many places kind of just do a medium job, I would say Philly cheesesteak is B tier.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
I'm cold ranking these two. I didn't think about this. I intentionally didn't think about this very much.
Sure. Perfect. Yeah, I agree. There was it. It says choices of American cheese, provolone, or cheese whiz. Have you ever had a Philly cheesesteak with cheese whiz?
That's how they do it in Philly. Yeah, they actually just say with or without, and you say like with whiz or without whiz. If you want like provolone or American, you have to like ask for that separately. And sometimes they don't even have that. Yeah, the ones at Philly are like, I think they are better from an experience thing. There's like sort of a whole thing of like, it's kind of like a New York City bodega situation going on where like you go in and you kind of get a vibe and that goes along with it. But I don't necessarily think that like from like a whole sandwich person perspective that the cheese whiz thing is dramatically better than American or provolone. Right. But it is good. It's interesting too.
Yeah.
And I think that they are much less soggy in Philadelphia. That's something that I noticed as well. I probably have had like 15 to 20 Philly cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. I went there 5 or 6 times. I had a buddy that lived out there when I was in the military. And they're like a little less soggy. The steak is a little bit more well seasoned. It's much more steak forward and much less like a whole melt hoagie thing together. Yeah, I think I'm happy with what did I put that B, right?
B. Yeah.
Yeah,
Got that at B. That's definitely above a Reuben. Very good. I think more iconic than a Reuben is well more liked. Up next, we have the banh mi. We were talking about this recently.
Yes.
I had not heard about it. I haven't heard about it. It's crazy, being how big of a sandwich this is apparently.
Yeah, what you kind of have to think about with banh mi is that banh mi is really a genre of sandwiches. Like you could have pork, chicken, they make pate. You got to remember the colonial imperialistic kind of history of Vietnam is such that the French culture was imposed upon them for decades, probably over 100 years. I can't remember, for a long time. And so it's kind of like got a New Orleans vibe to the cooking in the big cities in Vietnam where you have this heavy-handed French influence on the food culture. And banh mi, now like I'm not some like food culture writer, I'm not a journalist or anything, I'm not like an educator or anything, I'm not in like a formal capacity, but I think that like that's a good example of like the types of things that pop out of those situations where you have like a Western influence on an Eastern tradition. Banh mi is one of those sandwiches. It's a genre of sandwiches. They are, I've never had banh mi in Vietnam. I like it. I'm not a giant fan. And we're going to go B. Banh mi, because we're talking about the full genre. The best banh mi I've had was like beyond it. It was amazing. But most of the banh mi sandwiches I've had, they're good. Good. I would call them good, not great.
Yeah. Italian. Classic Italian. This is my default order for most sandwich places. I'll always go for an Italian. It's my safe choice.
Yeah, I love... Now, we're talking about an American Italian.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's the Italian beef, which is like the Chicago version of a French dip. And then there's like an Eno or like a panino, like a sandwich in Italy. We're talking about like hoagie roll, essentially salami, provolone. This is like the staple sandwich that every sandwich shop in the country has. Some version of an Italian. Like my local place has it, Subway has it, Firehouse has it. Every local place I've ever been to has, maybe not everyone, but almost every local place I've ever been to that I remember has a version of an Italian sandwich. It's good. It's up against some real heaters. I'm putting...
This is either B or C, right?
I can't put an Italian sandwich in the same category as a Reuben, though. Okay. So I think we have to go B. I think it's better than a Reuben.
Yeah.
The best Italian sandwich you can get. I mean, I make a lot of Italian sandwiches here at the house too. Like the best one you can get can swing with the best of them. But the average Italian sandwich you're going to get, it's a little bit heavy. It's a little bit oily. It's usually kind of middle of the road, which is kind of what someone that's ordering an Italian for lunch is expecting. They're going to eat half of it, and then have the other half later, like halfway through the second half of their day or whatever. Like
exactly.
That's a very normal kind of Italian sandwich orderer thing to do.
All right, now this next one, the Cuban sandwich. I mean,
we should first talk about what a Cuban sandwich is. Probably one of our only pressed options on the list, if there's more than one. It's French bread. It's seasoned, roasted, sometimes crock pot style, but usually roasted pork. There's the roasted pork, then there's ham. Swiss cheese is the traditional option. Pickles and mustard pressed on what I believe is usually French bread. I could be wrong about the bread that's kind of traditional with it, but I think usually when you get them kind of everywhere, you get it on kind of like a French roll.
Yeah.
Buttered on the outside, pressed. The Cuban is the perfect sandwich. There isn't a negative to a Cuban sandwich. It is in every way the perfect reflection of American culture. It's S tier. For a litany of reasons. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but you could put American cheese on a Cuban sandwich. That was anointed by a Tampa Bay Cuban that I worked for in a sandwich shop that he owned. He is the one that anointed that information. I prefer
Okay.
Swiss cheese, but he talked he probably talked while I'm sitting next to him at the counter making sandwiches. He probably talked 500 people into trying it with American cheese, especially people that grew up eating Cuban sandwiches. He said his mom would make them with American cheese a lot of the time because they would just run out of Swiss or whatever. And he sort of grew to prefer American cheese on a Cuban sandwich. That's not what we're talking about, though, because what we're talking about is the Swiss cheese version. Pickles, standard dill pickles, ham. The ham is probably one of the more important players in the sandwich, but the quality of the ham is probably less important than the quality of the roast pork. The roast pork is kind of what sets the bar for the Cuban sandwich against other Cuban sandwiches, because the Swiss is going to be close to the same. The pickles, the bread. Yeah, the bread can maybe be a big player as well in comparing it to other Cuban sandwiches.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why it's so good, is because you're buttering and pressing the bread into like that crunchy outside. So you really can't go wrong as long as the bread is good at all. You're kind of already highlighting how good it's going to be. You're like upping it to its max level. Yeah, the roasted pork is what makes the big difference. Also, the amount of
that mojo.
A lot of people put too much pork on a Cuban sandwich.
Yeah.
It really doesn't need a big, thick layer of pork. It needs like a nice, even layer across it.
It's a thinner sandwich than most of these that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. And it's a little bit heavy because it's pressed and it's... and it's got the pickles and everything on there, 2 meats. But it's definitely, there's never going to be it's also, here's the other thing. This is one of the things that's important too. Lunch, late night, dinner even, I could see myself getting a Cuban sandwich any time of day. You can get a good one almost everywhere in the country. The best Cuban I had actually was in Philadelphia. I was at a Cuban place, but it was in Philadelphia. Phenomenal. And obviously I'm from Florida. I've had them all over Florida as well, from the Keys to Tallahassee, Tampa, Orlando, all over Jacksonville. I worked at a place that made a phenomenal Cuban sandwich, where that was kind of the guy's main sandwich growing up, his kind of specialty. And he hung his hat on his Cuban sandwiches too, justifiably. So I kind of learned I learned the sword fighting techniques from like a master samurai when it comes to the Cuban sandwich. I don't even make Cuban sandwiches at home. I don't even have a panini press. I never make Cuban sandwiches. I love going out and like trying one and comparing it to the 5,000 Cuban sandwiches I had before. And that's what's so cool, is that unless a place really screws the pooch, Cuban sandwich is going to be upper echelon every time. They would actually have to mess up making it.
I don't have Cuban sandwiches often, but it's one of my favorite sandwiches of all time. And because I don't have it as often, every single time I have a Cuban sandwich, I'm blown away. I'm like, I forgot how amazing this is.
Yeah.
Like, this is so good.
Yeah.
There's a place in town that they no longer do food, but it was like a small restaurant and coffee bar that opened up, and they had an amazing Cuban sandwich, and they had a lot of really, really good menu items. And I've tried some of them from my wife, across from me on the table, and I would still, every time we went there, I would always get their Cuban sandwich. It's just so good. It's
one of those, is like, if you were going to show aliens like what the best aspect of humanity is, you'd have to be like, here's some, I'm not going to pick a hot take musician, but you'd say, here's some good music and here's a Cuban sandwich. This is what we have to offer as a species.
Yeah. Next sandwich. What is that? The BLT.
This is going to be a tough one, because the best BLT that you can get, the problem with putting bacon on a sandwich is that if it isn't placed properly with the other ingredients, you'll just pull the full piece of bacon out. If it isn't quite crunchy enough to break apart, meaning that if you use a thick piece of bacon and partially undercook it, or if you use even a thin piece and don't cook it enough, and you got to get that bacon nice and crispy. That shit's got to be organized because it's got to be next to other slices, and it needs to be placed in such a way that you don't pull out ingredients as you're eating the sandwich. Something we haven't mentioned yet, because some of these other sandwiches haven't had this problem at all, but like the capacity for you to eat the sandwich without losing the ingredients and creating like a plate sandwich is important. It's also one of the best things about the Cuban. You can get it, take it with you somewhere, pull it out, it's still piping hot because it's like encased in that crispiness. Yes. The BLT is like the opposite. It's like, if you don't make a BLT just so and use the right bread with the right shape, you have a mess on your hands.
Yes.
You have a mess on your hands.
It is one of the messier options.
Yeah. And it's not going to make your hands or anything messy, but like it's going to come apart in your hands.
Things can fall out. Yeah.
And, you know, I think a lot of people do like a Texas toast kind of thing on BLTs, or like a toasted thin white slice of bread.
Uh-huh.
I like a BLT on a bun personally for that reason. That kind of like that like kind of harder edge around the outside of the bun holds the ingredients inside. You can kind of like mush down the outsides of the bread a little harder when you place the top bun on. It's
different holding it in a round bun versus your standard sandwich slice bread.
Yeah. Now, just for the record, I'll say you have to have mayo on a BLT. And this might be different to what most people get, but I make a fried green tomato sandwich. I don't think that's going to be on this list, and I make it exactly like a BLT though, essentially just with a remoulade instead of mayo. The mayo on the bottom bun, salt, pepper on the mayo, tomato, salt, pepper on the tomato. And then you go lettuce, and then you go bacon. You want the bacon grease and kind of oils coming down into the lettuce from the bacon. You want the bacon on the top. Also, keeps that shit close to your eyes so you can kind of monitor. You know, you got to be able to keep the bacon in check. I think, and ingredients, not as important. I mean, for sandwich purposes, all bacon is pretty much created equal. The bacon that you would be using on your average sandwich, I'm saying. Tomatoes, you know, we're salting, we're peppering, we're mayoing. If you don't want mayo, I would say don't get a BLT, get eggs, you goon. The problem with a BLT is that unless you're doing a breakfast for dinner thing, it's really a breakfast. I guess it's a brunch, lunch sandwich too, you know, kind of depends where you are in the country, time of year. But yeah, I would say a BLT, gosh, I don't want to put everything in B tier, but I'm feeling like, I would say a BLT is on par with a Reuben. I would say, yeah, we can go C tier.
I think so. I would agree with that.
Now, your best BLT is a heavy hitter. Don't get me wrong. But we're talking about kind of like the prime example of these sandwiches that you would get at your normal situation.
Definitely. Up next, the club sandwich. This is like if the BLT is like the blue collar worker, the club sandwich is like a white collar, a little bit preppier. It's like it's more of like a double stack kind of sandwich because you got that bread in the middle.
And turkey. You're adding turkey to most clubs. If somebody says you're getting a club sandwich, it's usually just going to come with sliced turkey. That's why they call something a chicken club if it's a chicken club, or if it's some other variety of club sandwich, they say that. But if it's just a turkey club, they just call it a club sandwich usually. It's always cut into fours. It's always got the toothpicks through each bite because you're kind of having that stack like you talked about. This is where we get into the same problem with the BLT, where it's like the eating it, you kind of have to be strategic about how it's made and about how you eat it. I think it's better than a BLT.
Yes.
But is it better enough to be B tier?
I think if you had to break down the decimals of it all, then yeah, I think it would be better than a BLT, but still be in that C section.
I agree with that.
I think so. Yeah, if you had to order these like within their own categories, yeah, I would put that above both BLT and Reuben.
Agreed.
I think, personally.
That's a good place for it to be. I think that's a good place for that to live.
Next is the meatball sub.
Now we're going to run into problems.
Okay, let me hear
it. A meatball, gosh, how do you even judge a meatball sub, man? We're talking about, this is probably the one where the ingredients matter. I don't know about the most, but this one, the actual quality of the meatballs and the quality of the marinara matters a lot. Because a high quality meatball and a high quality marinara on their own is phenomenal stuff. But is that really what you get when you order a meatball sub? Most places? I don't think so. I think you're getting a solid meatball usually, and you're getting a moderately good marinara usually. They're usually soggier, easy, because no one ever really toasts the outside of the bread on a meatball.
No, I don't think so.
They usually, might toast it open face. They might
toast it open, so they melt that cheese and
but it doesn't really get outside of the bread too well in those
not really
ovens.
Yeah, it doesn't get pressed and doesn't get that outside toasted.
But when you want a meatball sub, it's one of the better sandwiches you could get. It's almost not a sandwich though, too. Gosh.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, this is a tough one to rate. I'm going low C tier with this. I'm going low C tier. Yeah, I think that meatball subs are good. but meatball subs, in comparison to the rest of the sandwiches on this list, are leaving a bit to be desired.
Okay. How would you rank it among the C's? Is that like between Reuben and BLT, or between BLT and Club?
I think it's lower than, I mean, I love a BLT personally. I think BLT ekes it out over meatball sub, especially because I've gotten a lot of meatball subs in my life. They're not usually the type of thing where you're going to be like, oh wow, that was amazing. Sometimes, but usually it's just like, I'm so hungry and I want something. I'm like, you know, the Brennan Lee Mulligan thing where he's like, the quality of a food is dependent on its density. You're in one of those moods where you're like, I just want something dense, heavy, and like,
for the most part, you are getting what you're expecting. I think, like every time you order it, you pretty much know what you're getting. Like,
yeah, the guy making your meatball sub knows you don't care about yourself.
Yeah,
he knows you've ordered with reckless abandon. You're getting a pasta dish in sandwich form, essentially.
Yes, nice. Okay, this next one's interesting. We're going with the grilled cheese, another like very iconic.
The grilled cheese is done so many different ways. But
is this exclusively American? Like,
probably.
Like, is it?
Like, it's probably associated with Americans, yeah, but like Canadians, Europeans all probably eat grilled cheese as well. It may have originated in some European place that I don't even know about. I don't know. But from my understanding, the grilled cheese is like a pretty recent invention, like a 90s thing. I mean, I'm sure that just from a technical cooking standpoint, someone would have been eating grilled cheese in ancient times.
Oh, it was in the 1920s during the Great Depression. While the concept of melting cheese on bread, obviously that predates all the way back to ancient Rome, American version was popularized during the 20s.
So then we'll talk about either sourdough, usually sourdough from like a choice standpoint, but also brioche. A lot of people do white. The kids version is like the white bread with the Velveeta or the American Kraft
Kraft slices. Yeah, those singles.
That's not really what we're talking about. We're more talking about like a brunch or a diner or a lunch spot. Their version, that usually comes out as. So you got sourdough, very rarely, but I do see it, brioche, some type of cheddar or Gruyere, usually like a Parmesan or something with like a higher salt content like Parmesan.
Sometimes
and then mozzarella.
Sometimes a tomato.
A lot of places will say, do you want tomato and pesto on that nowadays? It used to just be, do you want tomato on that, but then pesto has kind of become more popular.
I think most people...
I like tomato and pesto on mine.
Right. I think most people at home wouldn't make it necessarily with a tomato, but I think you'd find a tomato in most places you go to order one.
Yeah. Because it kind of feels like you're ripping the customer off if you just hand them bread and cheese.
Bread and cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. And also it kind of makes you feel a little better ordering it if it has I know tomato's technically a fruit, but if it has a veggie in there. Yeah. And then with a tomato bisque or even a tomato soup of some variety.
Yeah, the classic combo.
Yeah, so we'll say, your sourdough option with a cheddar, mozz, and a parm mixed together. Some places griddle cheese to the outside. That's how I make mine personally. I just love it like that. I love that grilled cheese on the outside too. And it also keeps you from putting like a ton of cheese on the inside. So you get that nice melty cheese on the inside, a nice thin layer like we got when we were kids, but you still get a little more cheese fried to the outside. So you get that crunch and the flavor of the cheese being griddled. This has got to be an A tier. It doesn't belong in a category with a Cuban sandwich, but it also, you would be hard pressed to find a person that isn't a vegan that doesn't love a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah. As sort of, on the spectrum, as fancy as you can get with a grilled cheese, it's very simple and hard to beat.
Yeah. I feel very good about where we have our S and our A tier. Our C tier.
We're starting to almost see a bell curve here.
It's heartbreaking to see what's happened to the C tier, but we have to kill our darlings.
I think towards this last half, we're gonna get some more S's and A's in there. Next one is the gyro. I'm going Greek.
Oh shit, I did not know. Okay.
Well,
this is crazy. You think a gyro is a sandwich?
Yeah. Well, I think most people consider it a sandwich.
I think it's sandwich adjacent.
Yeah, it is more sandwich adjacent.
It belongs in a comparison list of sandwiches, I'll say that. But do I call it a sandwich?
This is probably the least sandwich out of the rest of these, but I think barely squeezes in there.
Okay. So we have to go lamb, usually like a lamb beef combination. Some people do chicken, but if you're getting a chicken gyro, you're getting a different thing. We're going like kebab style beef mixture. Lamb gyro. Oh God, dude, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready. You've thrown me a curveball. There's a place called Jovan. The best lamb gyro I ever had was in Spain. Well, up in the Canary Islands in Gran Canaria. We showed up to this place at 10 p.m. We showed up to the island at 10 p.m. It took me an hour and a half to get the plane all buttoned up and get everything shut and locked and everything. Get back to the hotel. By the time we leave the hotel, it's like midnight. We haven't eaten all day. We left from Maine. We flew through Greenland, and then we flew to the Azores, Portuguese islands in the Atlantic, and then we flew to Gran Canaria after that. So it's midnight. I haven't eaten since we were like took off. We go to this place. It's outside of a bar that we had saw on the maps. Jude, when I tell you, he cut me the thinnest slices I've ever seen. I mean, he had the long, straight brisket knife, shaving this kebab, wrapped it up for me, handed to me, and he could tell I was about to, he was like, I was with two other guys and he didn't say this to either of them. He was like, you're going to like that. They got the same thing as me. He did not say that to them. I'm telling you, us sandwich people recognize each other. Game recognize game. Maybe he could tell from the intentness of which I was watching how he did everything and what he was putting on it and everything. But he knew I was about to go in on this fucking sandwich. I ate it in like 40 seconds and got another one. And I ate that one too, obviously. All the fries. He was like, oh yeah, you did like it, didn't you? I was like, hell yeah, I like that thing. I'll be back tomorrow for 2 more. It was amazing. So the best gyro, we're going lamb gyro, that you can get is out of this world. I don't think I've ever had a bad one. I've had them that don't measure up, but it's kind of in the Cuban sandwich category where it's like, damn, this shit's gonna be fucking awesome pretty much everywhere.
Are there any flaws at all, or is there any kind of setback?
Sometimes the bread is a little bit doughy. It's a little much for like a sandwich perspective. Most of the time you get like a nice thin sort of like Euro style roll, but like every once in a while you get a little bit more of like the thicker, doughier one. And that can be like your bread to meat and veggie ratio isn't always great. But yeah, that's a nitpicky thing I've seen sometimes. I think we're talking about another A.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Does it belong in S tier? Probably not quite.
Pretty close.
Probably not quite. But I would say the best
on the high end of
is
A.
up there with any other sandwich I could imagine. I wasn't expecting gyro to be on this.
You know, and anytime I have one, it's one of those foods that it feels like it's a lot healthier, but also when you bite into it and you taste it, it doesn't taste healthy.
Yeah.
Like, this is just so amazing. This is really, really, really good.
Yeah. A lot of Mediterranean food is like that, where you're like, can this really be?
Yeah, there's no way this is good for me, is it? And it's like, turns out it's really good for you.
Yeah. I get at this place, this local place, they've been there for like 30 years. It's one of our favorite spots to go for lunch or dinner. It's called Jovan. It's on the corner in 5 Points in Jacksonville, Florida. It is, I mean, nothing individually about the ingredients is special, but the lamb gyro is the best. It's up there with that one I had in Spain every time. And I've been getting it for years and years and years. And I went in there like, this was probably 4 years ago now at this point, but I had been going in there forever. And this guy was one of the managers there, not the owner. He was like, have you ever gotten this with our hot sauce on it? And I was like, big dog, I didn't even know you did that sort of thing. And he was like, let me give it to, he's like, you like hot stuff? I was like, hell yeah, I like hot stuff. And so he's like, all right, cool. And I've gotten it with the hot sauce on it ever since. I get the whole shebang. It's got the tzatziki, it's got hot sauce, everything. I love it.
Nice.
That might be my favorite sandwich in Jacksonville, if we're talking about gyros as a sandwich.
It's definitely mine in Jacksonville. Of a lot of the places around there, that was one of the best. That was one of the best. All right, chicken salad sandwich. Now, are we talking, sliced bread or croissant?
It's got to be on a croissant.
Okay. I mean, it's better version anyway, you know.
Yeah, I can't imagine putting, if we were talking about regular bread chicken salad sandwich, it would be very, I mean, we might be talking about a sandwich that doesn't belong on this list. Chicken salad is not I like chicken salad. I like a good chicken salad, but in comparison to the other stuff on this list, I like your standard chicken salad, you know, chicken, mayo, whatever else bullshit goes in it, and some scallions or whatever, green onions. But I like Waldorf chicken salad. I know that that's kind of like, the internet is gonna not like that, but like, I like grapes in chicken salad for some reason, but I don't really like that kind of chicken salad on a sandwich.
What about, well, is it raisins or cranberries? I think cranberries are often thrown in there.
Some people
I don't really care for that.
Some people put apple bits. I mean, I've seen somebody, I mean, I'm white from the South. I've seen some crazy, horrible things done to chicken salad. The things I've seen done to chicken salad are like, it's like watching a Vietnam veteran like reflect on what he went through. I'm like a World War I guy reflecting on the trenches. Like, buddy, I've seen them do bad things.
So where are we putting this kind of at D? At like
first D.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that is our first D, and
it's just kind of at the bottom, you know.
Yeah, and your best chicken salad sandwich. Like, I like that. There's that place. It's like a chain now. Chicken Salad Chick. I have fun. I like the jalapeno one.
I like to have fun.
I like to have fun. I'm a cool hip guy.
Nice.
But in comparison, the whole in the realm of sandwiches, especially this like kind of upper echelon we're rating, it's at the bottom.
All right. We're going with another iconic Americana, peanut butter and jelly. Now here's a question I have for you. Do you just one side peanut butter, one side jelly bring together, or do you mix your peanut butter and jelly and then spread?
If someone told me they mixed their peanut butter and jelly and then spread it, I would burn their house down.
You'd be burning my house down because my wife enjoys that. It's weird.
It is as weird as it gets. That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's wasted energy. Also, it's got to be hard to mix up peanut butter and jelly. Does she get a dish dirty to do this?
You're getting a bowl dirty. You get a small bowl and then you do equal parts and you mix it together with a spoon and then you kind of spread it on there.
The whole point of having a PB&J is that you could eat it on a napkin. The only thing you have to get dirty for a PB&J is a butter knife, which is the easiest thing in your kitchen to clean. So the main, what I would consider the main appeal of a PB&J is that you pull out 2 canisters, one from your cabinet, peanut butter, one from your fridge, jelly. You use 1 butter knife and 2 napkins. 1 napkin to have the sandwich on, and 1 napkin for the inevitable mess you make with a little bit of jelly. Because it's just, no matter how careful you are, no matter where you put the larger chunks, some's going to come out.
You got to do jelly first, so it's easier to clean before you get into the peanut butter. The peanut butter is going to stick to your knife, so that you do that second.
Exactly. So your whole process is 2 things out of the cabinet/fridge, 2 paper towels or napkins, and 1 butter knife, and you're done.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the PB&J. Now, we could talk about crunchy or smooth peanut butter. We could talk about Jif versus Skippy versus some of the other stuff that's coming out. We could talk about what type of jelly spread you use, because obviously we're talking about grape, but like in the grand scheme of the PB&J, I like to do half grape jelly and half like some type of jam. Like I like an apricot spread, half apricot, half grape jelly with PB&J with peanut butter. But that's not what we're rating here. We're rating we're rating like you have 5 minutes and your kids are screaming at you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like that's because you never order a PB&J at a place.
No. Not really. Not unless you have kids. Yeah.
They would kick you out. So I think we're talking about a B tier Sammy here.
Yeah.
No major drawbacks to the PB&J.
It's similar to the grilled cheese. Simple ingredients, very iconic, classic, always made in everybody's homes at some point or another.
Yeah. I go through periods where I'll have a PB&J every day for 6 months, and then I won't have one. And then I won't have one for 3 months. Like, my wife makes a lot of jokes about my sandwich habits, but the PB&J takes the cake for like, I will go on a kick where like it is the only thing that can satiate my hunger at 10 in the morning or at 2 in the afternoon when I'm not going to make like a proper meal. and then I just won't have one for a year or whatever.
Before we get to this next one, I gotta get some groceries that have just been dropped off. I'll be right back.
Go grab them. I want to make a new tea. Microplastics, do you think I'm ingesting? Quite a few. Be hot for a long time.
Holy cow, that was a bigger order than I was expecting. Next, ham and cheese. Another simple classic.
There's only one type of ham and cheese that I really like.
Okay.
It is called a honey ham and Swiss croissant. I like a ham and cheese croissant with egg, ham, egg, and cheese croissant. But at this same place I told you about that I sort of learned all of my sandwich knowledge from, it was toasted, but I would always press mine. I would press the croissant like a Cuban sandwich. But it's honey ham, like honey roasted ham, honey mustard on both sides of the bread, and then Swiss cheese pressed down, baked in a buttery, flaky crust. And
Crispy crust.
And it's a smaller sandwich, not as heavy as some of like the other stuff, like not like eating a full Cuban. So it's better for like a snack. I make that sandwich all the time. Probably once every 2 months, I get the ingredients to make them, and then I just make them for a week straight for lunch for Nicole and I. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a standard ham and cheese sandwich. It's an insult. It's an insult to the category of sandwiches because a Cuban has ham and cheese. A lot of these sandwiches have ham and cheese. So
this is like a completely unelevated version of a Cuban, kind of not toasted, regular ham. Yeah.
We might have to go D tier with this. Maybe low C. I don't know. I actually think it's worse than a chicken salad sandwich.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You can make a good one, but if you make it good, you don't have a ham and cheese sandwich anymore.
Even considering the simple ingredient sandwiches we've gone over, that is the most uncreative one. Like, it's just, it's
mayo.
Plain. It's the most plain one.
If you're eating a ham and cheese sandwich, like if you pull your lunch bin out, your like little lunch box, and you pull a ham and cheese sandwich, I'm gonna ask you like, hey man, you wanna go out after work for a drink and talk about it? What are you going through that's what PB&J for lunch is better than a ham and cheese. Like,
sure,
if you're working a real job, like if you're like, I'm talking like guys I used to know that like would bring a lunch. If your wife makes you a ham and cheese sandwich and that's what you have you don't have a wife very much longer. She's trying to divorce you. I can't imagine that. Yeah, now that we got to go below chicken salad for sure.
Okay, there you go. Let's see. Next, roast beef sandwich. Now, what is other than roast beef versus corned beef, this is similar to a Reuben.
Yeah,
in sight,
it has Reuben vibes.
Yeah,
the tanginess and the sort of like
the flavor's different.
Yeah, that you get from sauerkraut and the Reuben, you get that from a horseradish sauce on a roast beef. Now, I like a Texas style roast beef sandwich. That's like the horseradish sauce has kind of got like a blooming onion flavor kind of vibe, almost like a Russian dressing vibe mixed with the horseradish sauce. Usually cheddar cheese, because it's got the horseradish is such a powerful flavor that you want something with a big flavor like a cheddar to kind of cut through.
My wife loves horseradish.
Yeah, then if somebody likes horseradish, then these sandwiches are essentially as good as it gets. Here's a problem. Roast beef. Good roast beef, the place basically has to make it themselves. Like, pretty much. I'm sure you could get good roast beef somewhere, but like store-bought sliced roast beef, it just is never gonna stand up. Now, you could get a place that buys roast beef and then slices it themselves, and maybe it's a little bit better. The horseradish sauce really adds a nice element to it. The cheddar cheese. I don't really know if there is a standard bread that it would be on. Could be hoagie roll, French bread, potato roll even. I'm assuming some people make it on. Now, I gotta say, this might be low B.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this is one of those ones where like the best version of this sandwich is really a heavy hitter, but the average roast beef sandwich that you're gonna get is sort of like solid taste specific too. Like, especially if that's what you're craving. Like, I want some horseradish. I like the idea of roast beef sounds great right now. Yeah, that, you know, that's going to be solid. But it's very rare that you're going to get a roast beef sandwich and be like, oh wow, this is as good as it gets from the sandwich perspective. Though they do exist, especially like in New York has, like, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff going for it. But I guess even there, that would be more like an Italian beef almost. I don't know, maybe not. More like a pastrami, you know, kind of thing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Pulled pork sandwich.
Are we talking barbecue pulled pork?
I would say, yes.
High B.
Yeah.
The pulled pork sandwich usually comes with, now there's the Carolina, like there's barbecue. Barbecue is one of my, I'm not as much of a barbecue expert when it comes to like making barbecue, but when it comes to like having tried all the types of barbecue, I'm a bit of a fan, you might say. Carolina, East Coast kind of thing is, especially in the last 15, 20 years, coleslaw on the sandwich. If they make it like that, I like it. I go for it. I'm like, it's a sandwich. I'm not trying to just be like a barbecue purist, whatever. But I don't typically like the coleslaw on the sandwich because coleslaw is so hit or miss for me. So many people make it too runny, too sweet.
And
sometimes.
If you're talking about the Carolinas, that's also a very different coleslaw than some other southern states.
Exactly, yeah. And their barbecue is more like mustard based typically. Although nowadays everyone makes all of it and they just say like each region is like, oh, well, this is our specialty, but we like an Alabama white sauce. They'll have Alabama white sauce, but they'll have mustard sauces. They'll have like they'll have a smoky, they'll have a sweet, and they'll just have one that they kind of hang their hat on. I like Arkansas style barbecue, very spicy, not crazy smoky, but like really heavy on the heat with smoky and the black pepper thing. Obviously, when it comes to brisket, I like the Southern Texas style brisket. When it comes to the pulled pork sandwich, the barbecue pulled pork, I think that the average sandwich you get is solid. I mean, slow roasting pork and putting barbecue sauce on it is kind of a winning recipe from the start. The best pulled pork sandwich you can get could be one of the best sandwiches of your life. So it's got to be in the, you know, sort of BAS tier area. But it does have drawbacks because it is like, barbecue is not the type of thing you're trying to eat all the time. Some people maybe, but like I really want barbecue like once or twice a month, maybe tops, depending on the season. Yeah, I like high B tier, somewhere in the high B. What's our highest B tier sandwich right now?
Well, that would be like the PB&J, I think.
It's above a PB&J, for sure. Yeah.
All right, next we're going with the French dip
sandwich. This one is near and dear to my heart. This is another roast beef sandwich. This one's usually on an actual French baguette. Or the problem with this one is the jus. It's an au jus based sandwich, so it really is relying on that, like the dipping. It's a dipping sandwich, kind of like a grilled cheese in tomato soup or tomato bisque. Gosh, you know, I think this has got to go above. It's got to go above a roast beef sandwich for me. This is a hard choice, though. This is a hard choice because like the roast beef sandwich was what, low B?
Yes.
Maybe we go right above a regular roast beef sandwich. The difference for them is really craving based.
Between roast beef and Philly cheesesteak, you'd say?
Yeah, I would take a Philly over a French dip most of the time.
Okay.
Although, gosh, that's hard. That's a hard one. Those three, I mean, you're splitting hairs in this B tier right now. B tier is a bunch of really great Tammys.
Yeah, which is as it should be.
Yeah.
A lot of good ones. A lot of really good ones. Po' boy. Now, is when you just say po' boy, that's always typically shrimp.
Yeah, shrimp.
There's other versions. There's a variety of stuff I've seen.
Yeah, they do oyster. Yeah, they do oysters. They do what are those little things that aren't lobsters? Crawfish. I mean, you could get like in like
they do gator.
I think in Shreveport I had a shrimp and crawfish po' boy, which was great. I don't love po' boys. So sue me. A po' boy is but we can't dismiss it just because it isn't in my personal favorites. I think we're talking about a
Sure.
very high C here.
I see that. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
This is a heavy hitter of a sandwich around the country. But I do think that it has this thing where it has a better reputation. It's almost like a Philly cheesesteak in this way, where it's like its reputation is better than the actual sandwich many times. Although I'm sure there's some food trucks out there where, like, you know, you get the po' boy from that food truck and you're like, oh shit, or like, you know, some spots in Louisiana where it's like, damn. But
Sure.
yeah, the regular one you're gonna have, the attainable ones you have around the country, and the average one you can expect when you order it. I'm thinking high C's.
I think that's a good spot. I think so.
And shrimp, you know, I like shrimp, but the older I get, the more grossed out I get by all crustaceans, like shrimp, lobster. I
mean, fried shrimp. Fried shrimp is a little bit better
as I get older.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Last one, lobster roll.
Goodness, this is unimpressive. This is like this is like chicken salad for people from Maine. Like it's one of the best sandwiches I ever had was a lobster roll, actually, in New York. So don't get me wrong here. I love lobster rolls, but really in the grand scheme of things, I gotta go high D. We're talking about how they compare with each other too. Right. You know, but I think, you know, stuffing lobster meat into a roll with some butter on it, does it really compete with the rest of the sandwiches on this list? I think it has the same negatives that a chicken salad has, where it's like, really, you're relying on this stuff you're putting in the sandwich being phenomenal.
Lobster can be very good. It has this sort of back and forth between, you know, the rich and poverty. I believe it was more on the poverty side when it was like gaining steam. That was something that a lot of poor people would have as lobster, until then kind of things switched and became a high fine dining experience when you order a lobster. And then you kind of come back with the lobster roll as much more of an everyman food. I haven't had a lot of lobster rolls, but the ones I had are all right. I certainly prefer most of these sandwiches over that.
Agreed. And this is we're etching this list into stone, and we will not take any criticism.
These will not be reversed.
Adjustments. Yeah, nothing.
These are permanent and forever.
Outside of a full public campaign, nothing will be changed here.
You know how they get those
mentions.
Okay, sure.
Italian beef probably just goes up with the other roast beefs. Lox bagel with some capers on that bitch. In the right situation, that one goes crazy. Caprese sandwich, tomato, basil, mozzarella on ciabatta bread. Pastrami on rye, which we kind of talked about, but we didn't really rate it. A katsu sando, which is like a fried pork cutlet. Shredded cabbage, tonkatsu sauce on a milk bread. There's also like the pork belly rolls that you get on those like small, it's almost like a bread taco they give you. Those are up there with the best of them. A panini, which in this context, I'm talking about like an actual Italian panino kind of sandwich. The best sandwich I've ever had in my life, like proper sandwich, not including that kebab in the Canary Islands, was at this place called Ino's, I-N-O, in Florence, Italy. It's really an ingredient forward culture. So like it's kind of the perfect place to get pizza. Best slice of pizza I ever had was in Siena, Italy. But like the reason that the simple stuff in Italy is so good is because they're so ingredient forward. They're like, this is going to be the best lettuce that we put on this sandwich. This is going to be the best tomato this is going to be the best bread. And they have great ingredients. So like I had a very simplistic Italian style sandwich on a panino. It's not focaccia bread, but it's very similar to focaccia bread. I forget the name of it. It's like stogliatacci or something like that. I mean, I would pronounce it wrong even if I was reading it, but it's something like that. That's got to be considered a shawarma. If we're considering doner kebabs, we got to consider shawarma and falafel pitas. Tuna salad and egg salad were not included, but they probably belong right about the same place as chicken salad.
Yeah.
think that's it. Yeah, I think that's all the ones I had written down that I could kind of think of. Yeah, this list, yeah, I think Cuban sandwich belongs on its own. What's the other one we have in A tier with grilled cheese?
Gyro?
Yeah. We've made the perfect list here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah, so
Most sandwiches belong in that B
mhm,
tier. The
yeah.
C tier has
So-
got sandwiches that are sort of niche, and then the D tier has sandwiches that are definitely not bad, but just in the sort of relativistic way of ranking these we're making, they don't belong with the
Yeah.
other ones. Yeah,
just
I
as
think
a full
yeah,
recap,
no, you're perfect.
we'll go from the bottom, kind of lower D for your ham sandwich, chicken salad, lobster roll. Jumping into the C, your Reuben, a meatball sub, BLT, club sandwich, po' boy. Get into the B's, or those are like your kind of reliable, pretty good sandwiches. Roast beef, French dip, Philly cheesesteak, banh mi, Italian, PBJ, and pulled pork. Really good. Pretty good selection there. Hard to go wrong with those. A, yeah, grilled cheese Euro, and the definitive S tier best sandwich is the Cuban.
Yeah,
I think I agree with that.
not really up for
That's pretty
debate.
good. Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't think the Cuban sandwich is the end all be all of sandwiches,
Mm-hmm.
you really just can't trust them around your kids.
Is that the sign?
Yeah. Join us next week when we'll be tier listing all of the different skin colors.
Oh my God! Wow. Well, that'll be the pull quote.
Spoiler alert, you're probably not going to like it.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Done. This is the list forever. Maybe we'll revisit and add some more to it, but
Yeah.
pretty solid categorizing.
From a food perspective, what would be our next listed? I mean, dude, if we did barbecue, we could set the internet ablaze. The hatred I could incite from the barbecue community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like an
Well-
inside man. I know just enough to upset everyone.